the Holy Spirit dwelt in me. I was so sure that God was my companion, and I doubted that the gospel I believed in. When I was going through hard times, I talked to God like He was right next to me. I believed that He listened to me when I told Him things that I could not tell no one else. So I trusted in Him and depended on Him. I couldn't understand those who went to revival meetings to speak in tongues, and I laughed at those who attended fasting prayer services. Looking at such efforts, I thought, why do they go through such meaningless efforts to receive the Holy Spirit? The Holy Spirit comes on them only when they are sinless and stays with you always. They must be sinners. He will not come on them even with all their efforts. I felt pity for them. I thought they were so foolish. With that in mind, I came to think that my belief in the gospel was the best and others' belief was all a lie. My arrogant heart reached its peak. For 10 years, I had led a religious life of my own. But as time passed, questions began to rise in my mind and in my heart. I thought, I am sinless due to the gospel of the blood on the cross, but are all other believers sinless as well? Do they really believe in the gospel too? I didn't know why I started asking these questions. These questions just came to my mind and I could not ask anyone. This was a personal belief and should not be violated, and it would have been a rude question to ask of someone else. But I started to ask these questions of myself. When I was in college, I started doing things that used to be restricted by religious precepts, and my heart became so dark that my beliefs started to diminish. I was no longer sure of my beliefs. Can I call myself a righteous man? Did Jesus really cleanse me from all my sins? Amidst all this confusion, I forced myself to think of the gospel of the cross, and I brainwashed myself with it. But the more I pressed myself, the more I lost, and I became. The more lost I became, and I did not attend church services anymore. I used my club activities as an excuse. Amidst all the confusion and chaos, I finally met the truth. I heard about the gospel of the water and the Spirit, and it came to me like a bolt of lightning. The impact was so great that I felt like crying. But listening to the gospel, I had to admit that all that I had believed until then was false. I had never.
Because if you cannot explain, imagine preaching without even mentioning John. This guy who came with the knowledge of, yeye alikuja na knowledge of salvation. He was a messenger. He had come to prepare the way. He's the greatest out of those that are born of women. You see, so many things. Even I hear one time Jesus asking, whom did you go out to see? And he said, is more than a prophet. And I said, indeed, more than a prophet. So this guy, without have kukutana na yeye, because God anasema, ati permitted to be so now, for that it's fitting for us to fulfill all righteousness. So this was the most fitting way. So every time we are in this, tukiwa kwa hii gospel, mimi nafurahianga tu because hakuna siku sitalearn kitu mpya, hakuna siku yenye sitajua for sure tuko kwa ukweli. So you see, the more una realize uko kwa ukweli, the more una thank God, the more unajua yani ulikuwa unaenda jehanamu na force, ulikuwa una match ojo, tulikuwa na boldness. Aki ukikutana na watu, hata hamjakutana na the proud ones, kuna kiburi. The few of us have met, kuna wale hata hawamiliki, hawasemefeki juu ya vile wanajua. But woe unto them. So we are so grateful that for sure hata hatuwezi ringa juu pia ni grace God alitupe. So thank you so much.
Anyone else for something to say? Brother Kim, maybe. Okay.
Bwana asifiwe. Afai kusikiliza hii. Nataka tuangalie kwa hii kitabu na hii topic for 87 about the Holy Holy Spirit does not have fellowship with those who deceive themselves. Nasema the Holy Spirit tells sinners in 1 John 1:8, if you say that you have no sin, we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us. And the Holy Spirit cannot dwell in those who deceive themselves. The Holy Spirit reminds sinners, saying, why did you not believe the beautiful gospel accomplished by Jesus' baptism and his blood?
Yes, there's that righteousness that also is deceiving yourself. And also in this verse, there is those who say they cannot say they don't commit sin when they look at themselves. But surely they know they commit sin not according to the gospel of water and spirit. And also there is these people who say that they are righteous, but not according to the gospel of water and spirit. All of them, they cannot enter to the last. They cannot enter to the kingdom. Why? Because it is according to their own thought. Sasa ni wakati nimekuwa nikisikiliza nikaona surely it is very tricky not to understand or not to believe in the gospel of water and spirit. Because the gospel of water and spirit, when you believe it, you can receive the Holy Spirit. When somebody has not received the gospel of water and spirit, he cannot surely receive the Holy Spirit. Whether because he has to come with one of these. Either he can be so righteous that he commit no sin. Even if you try to make him a sinner, he say, no, I don't commit sin. And also there is that who says that, yes, I commit sin, but not according to the gospel of water and spirit. When I usually meet my former brothers, they are dead. They are dead brothers, surely. When I usually meet them, they have one of these. They are so righteous that they don't commit. Even if you try to tell somebody, you mean you don't commit sin? Because they don't have the Holy Spirit. Because they cannot, there's no other way to receive the Holy Spirit. Unless you believe the baptism of Jesus Christ and shedding of his blood. This is the only way to receive the Holy Spirit. This is the only way to become sinless. There is no other way. But they don't believe in this. But they say they can stand with that standard. I don't commit sin. I cannot. Jesus paid the sin. Sometime niliweza kusikia brother Steve akiuliza, yes, Jesus paid even your future sins.